Cavalier faithful, welcome on in. It's the Cleveland Pulse. It is day one officially of the Cleveland Cavaliers 2024 offseason, and holy smokes, here we are. I'm sure if you've been following this team all year, you have been on social media today. It is May 16th, 2024, a Thursday. Before we get started here, hit the like button, make sure you're subscribed, share with your friend who is a Cavalier fan. All offseason, we're going to be covering it. Content going through the roof. What is happening? This is from Bleacher Report. And, they, God forbid, they could just retweet, Feuds or whatever. We got to get all of our engagements and make sure we're getting our paid our 36, 37 cents, making sure that, oh my gosh, we're making so much revenue and we could pay for the gold check mark because we're a business and we pay $10,000, however much for the, Bleacher Report. God forbid we could ever just retweet anybody. And allegedly, God forbid we could ever tell the truth. From Bleacher Report, Spida grew frustrated with some teammates' lack of maturity, focus, playoff level readiness, and willingness to listen. And this is per Chris Fedor. Like I said, why you just can't retweet Chris Fedor? I have no idea. Okay. Sent this around to group chats, hear from Fedor, plausible, deniable, whatever. Donovan off the top rope. Yeah, all right, Cap. I'm sick of y'all sometimes. Ooh, so it's day one of the offseason. Will Don resign? Will Darius Garland get moved? Will JB lose his job? Will Altman lose his job? What are we going to do moving forward? And we already have Donovan Mitchell basically calling out one of the only Cavalier reporters as a liar. I got a couple of things here. I'm going to keep it real brief, but I wanted to get this up. Number one, these leaks today have been crazy. We will be talking about them all. We will be getting your feedback on them because we want to hear where you guys are at. Everybody saw the season conclude last night, 5 games against the Boston Celtics. I'm glad that the consensus is clear that things need to change. Even though if people can't agree on what needs to change, I'm glad that there does seem to be a consensus among the fan base, amongst the pundits, amongst the analysts, that things do need to change. I'm glad to see that. Here's my thing. I'll take this from kind of both perspectives. I don't totally see why Chris Fedor would lie about this. If it was a highly contested market, if there was 10, high-level Cavaliers reporters, I could see if you need a leg up. This isn't the case here. Fedor is the top dog in the ecosystem as far as hyper-focused on the Cavaliers. Obviously, you have Jason Lloyd as well, and you're going to have your mainstays around the league, but they're not concentrated guys. Shams is not only covering the Cavs. Woj is not only covering the Cavs. Windhorst is not only covering the Cavs. Stephen A is not only covering the Cavs. Everybody in that ecosystem. Chris Fedor for Cleveland.com is pretty much the tip of the spear. You have some other low-key names. And then you have your independent voices that I'm sure that you see on YouTube. I'm sure that you see all over on X, formerly known as Twitter. So that's half of my thought process. The other half is, Don isn't really that vocal of a guy on social media. He'll, put stuff out here and there. He hasn't really been somebody to rock the boat like unnecessarily as far as his tenure with Cleveland, even though you did have that one thing during the regular season where he said some words. Fedor, maybe portrayed it not exactly how Donovan said it, even though the direct quotes were the direct quotes. But sometimes, putting, verbalized words to paper sometimes isn't the easiest, or sometimes you could spin it a little bit. So I'm almost wondering if that's exactly what happened here. I'm wondering if Don said something, Fedor interpreted it one way, Don didn't really think much of it, Fedor writes a story, and then it kind of transpires from there. It's almost like, did Fedor interpret something that Don said, that he was upset with how some of the guys acted, how some people behaved, how they weren't willing to listen? And Don's like, oh no, man, that's just, that happens everywhere. That's every basketball team. That's every, team who's trying to contend and make a playoff run. There's going to be disagreements, and he didn't really mean it like that is what I'm going for. Interesting scenario developing here. Like I said, though, hit the like button, subscribe, comment down below. Are you thrilled with this, first day of the offseason beef? I mean, I expected it not to hit, pop off just like this off rip. But man, the stories that have been coming out, Shams, Woj, Windy, Fedor now in a clash with Donovan Mitchell. Just buckle on in, man. I'm going to be putting out so much content. Logan's going to be putting out so much content. Justin's going to be putting out so much content because it's necessary. It's required. We want this team to succeed. We know this team needs to make changes, regardless if it's personnel, staffing, coaching, front office, whatever may have you. So we hope you guys are along for the ride. And with that being said, we appreciate you being the pulse of it all. Peace.